All right, Colonel Summers and Ed Peck, your colleague on this evening is Gary Sick. He's with us here in New York. Gary, you were just saying that you were in Cairo at the beginning of the 67 Six-Day War. What was it like there?
Well, I remember very clearly the reports that were coming out from Baghdad are very reminiscent of the kind of things we had. I was actually standing on top of the American embassy as the Israeli planes came in on the side of the city and struck the airport. And you were aware that this was going on, and you could see the planes off in the distance in the daylight, and you could also hear some explosions off in the distance. But your real danger was, in fact, the shrapnel falling from the air, from the air defense forces firing off indiscriminately at these planes. And the planes were not coming into the city. They were not attacking. And in fact, a lot of things were going on pretty much as usual in the city at the same time.
Colonel Summers, we're going to go back down to Washington to you now. What are the chances that ground war can be avoided, in your judgment?
Well, there is a chance. There's always been the hope that the Iraqi armed forces would collapse under the kind of attack that they're going to come under, the very massive attacks which have not yet come against their military forces. So there's that hope, but I think it's a rather long hope, and I think we have to at least to prepare for a ground war to follow up this air attack.
All right, Colonel Summers, thanks very much. We have additional reports now from Baghdad that the city is taking another very tough wave of attacks. That's about the third or fourth, as I can count them. We want to go to Saudi Arabia now, to NBC's Arthur Kent, where there are more air raid sirens at this hour. Arthur?
Tom, there's some activity. We're hearing some noise across the horizon. Indeed, we expect more of these Saudi civil defense drills. At present, they are only drills. We don't we don't have any reason to expect that any of Saddam Hussein's rockets will make it through U.S. air defenses. Nevertheless, the Saudis and the hotel management here where we are based are taking every precaution. And of course, when the sirens were going off earlier, the drill has been, as everybody in this area has practiced before, to reach for your gas mask if you don't already have it on a hip, and head into the hotel, down the stairway, and into a secure spot in the basement. It's very much a regimented thing, as you might expect. People are urged to stay calm. The gas masks, which most of us have had a lesser...
Whoops. Well, that's an interruption. We think it's just the satellite going down. No cause for undue worry there in Tehran. That's the area right up in the Persian Gulf. We can show you now some of the planes that have been taking off tonight from that area. The 1st Tactical Fighter Squadron fighter wing out of Virginia is based there. Colonel Broom, they've been there from the earliest days possible. They had to get control of the air. 2 big rear engines on those F-15s. It's got a twin tail on it. Those guys have very sophisticated radar on board and very heavy weaponry as well. We have a report now from NBC's Martin Fletcher in Israel. The Israelis, of course, have extraordinarily good intelligence in that area. He tells us that most of the targets have already been destroyed, including nuclear and chemical installations. F-111, F-17 stealth bomber started to fly the second phase. The British military communications network intercepted here by a ham radio operator. They've been listening and monitoring that in Israel. Martin Fletcher, based on what you're hearing on the radio intercepts, it's going so well so far?
Well, Tom, we have that one report from our radio operator who's intercepted the British military communications network. It seems as if it's going exceptionally well. There's been a report just now on Israel television, I can't vouch for it myself, in which they say that the missile launchers in western Iraq, H-2, were hit, and the Israelis' intelligence says that the missiles were not armed at the time they were destroyed. So that indicates that the Iraqis were not ready for the attack, and it also suggests that there is no way that those missiles will be launched at Israel.
All right, you're hearing that from what, British military radio transmissions?
British military radio transmissions said that gave the first part of my report, which is that the targets mostly have been destroyed, including nuclear and chemical facilities. And the ham operator, who has been regularly monitoring military communications for us, gave us the second report about the destruction of the weapons which had not yet been readied.
Martin Fletcher, any additional briefings from the Israeli military authorities at this hour?
Well, they keep saying they're going to make a military briefing any moment, and it has not yet taken place. We're still waiting for it. Another report, Tom, I can say, is that there have been very few casualties, we understand, in Iraq for the time being.
All right, Martin Fletcher in Tel Aviv tonight. We'll know that you'll want to go off and get some additional information from the Israeli point of view. The monitoring devices out there, both civilian and official, are up and very active. Prime Minister Shamir, we're told, and Defense Minister Aarons were at their homes tonight receiving information on what is going on. Israel very much on guard and seems to be, at this moment, out of danger from an attack from Iraq. And that, of course, would have started a whole different phase and made this already very dangerous and complex situation all the more so.